Style for Life. I'm Stephanie Rumble, fashion stylist, accountability coach, and your guide to feeling good in your body and your clothes. Based in Christchurch, New Zealand, I bring over 3 decades of experience in fashion, fitness, and wellness to help you feel strong, stylish, and self-assured. Together we'll explore the emotional, physical, and practical sides of style, because true confidence starts from within. No matter your age or size, you deserve to feel confident and show up as the best version of you. I truly believe this. This is Style for Life. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the podcast again today. It's really, really good to be here. Thank you so much for tuning in and for tuning in last week around our colours episode where we talked about colours and I interviewed the lovely Claire Maxfield. That was so nice to see her. So here we are again, back today, and this time we're going to talk about body shape. And I have always been a little bit reticent about talking about body shape, and I really don't know why. So I think it's probably because I've worried that if I talk about body shape, people are going to interpret me discussing this as a judgment on the body shape that they have. And realistically, I just do not have any judgment. Your body shape is your body shape. You are what you are. And that's one of the things that body shape analysis in image consulting and personal styling does. It helps you to understand who you are, what works for you, and why when you wear some things they look good and other things they look a bit meh, right? So, and also why when you see something on another person who you think might be your body shape and you put on yourself, it's like, oh my goodness, that just does not look as I thought it would look. So I thought it might be useful today to talk about what body shape is, how to dress for your shape, how to understand what shape you've got, and how to come to a place of acceptance about your body. One of the things we know is that humans have all different body shapes, right? Even if you think that somebody is similar to you, there'll be a difference in proportion somewhere. For example, my daughter Poppy and I are identical heights. We probably have identical bone structure in terms of how long our bodies are, how long our legs are. And when we're both in a healthy, good place, we're probably both got very, very similar size and shape bodies, almost, within a kilogram or 2 of each other, very, very similar. However, she has smaller hands and smaller feet than me. And she also has a different face shape. So she can dress herself a certain way and I can dress myself a certain way. And there's definitely similarities, but there's also differences. She's also naturally got a bigger bust than me too. So there's just things to consider in that process that are not a one size fits all. So the purpose of this podcast today is to help guide you through all of the different aspects of body shape. Hopefully you get to the end of this and you feel like you can do it a little bit, or if you can't, you'll know where to come. Because obviously as a service I offer as a fashion stylist and personal stylist, I do offer the service of body shape analysis. It's a really fantastic service with hundreds of options for clothes that will work for you. It's very customized and so much is taken into consideration when we do a body shape analysis. So yeah, very much a long, not long is the wrong word. It's very much a comprehensive process. So I just want to say to you first that one of the things to do in dressing for yourself is to dress for your shape and proportions. So yeah, again, understanding where your curves are, but also where your lengths are. I think we very much forget the lengths and we always think about the widths. We tend to be very focused in our society about the width of our body or the size of our body, which is very unfortunate. There's some societies where they don't think about it at all, but here for us in New Zealand, we tend to be quite focused on it. So, again, every body is different. So we want to talk today about both of those two things, your horizontal body shape. So where are your widths, and your vertical body shape, where are your lengths as well. I just also want to say to you that there's nothing wrong with your body shape. There's no ideal body shape. There's no body shape that's better than another body shape. When you look at even models on the runway, they're all different nowadays. And it's important to understand that you shouldn't be trying to live to a visual ideal. You just want to be able to accept your body for what it is and make it look the best it can. Often it's the way you dress that makes you look good. So for example, if I wear the wrong style of trousers and shoes, I can look very different to when I wear the right style of shoes and the right trousers. And I also think it's important for you to understand, what do you want to get out of dressing? Do you want to look a certain way? Do you want to create length? Do you want to decrease length? Do you want to create width? Do you want to decrease width? Because dressing can do that for you. Visually, our eyes are drawn to proportion as humans, so we can discern proportion and work out whether there's visual harmony. So when you look at an outfit or a person as a human, you look at them and your brain immediately calculates proportion. It's part of the metrics of our eye. This is why I'll be so interested to see if AI ever gets to being able to accurately assess body shape and accurately assess colour. And I had this really robust discussion with a great friend of mine yesterday about this, and it's just not there yet. No matter how many times I try and use an AI tool for either my colours or my body shape, it doesn't get it quite right. So there's something about the human that picks up those slight differences and nuances that you don't get in an AI tool. I mean, again, AI is moving at like the speed of light. So it may very well be there quite soon. So remember that, as I said, the brain looks at an outfit and sees visual harmony. So this is something that you want to try and achieve. You want to be able to look at yourself in an outfit and understand why it's working. I have a really, really lovely regular client who, when we're going out, she'll say, so Stephanie, tell me why this works on this person, why this neckline works and why this works here and why this works here and why that doesn't. And so she's always making me really think, which is really good, about why it works. Now with colour, I can answer it just like that, because I've got a really instinctive eye around what colours work and how things work. When it comes to body shape, I have to think harder because I'm not naturally mathematical, but I can certainly see proportion. So when you learn to dress for your shape, it makes it so much easier to dress, or to dress well, yeah? So you can pick things out and you'll go in and go, I'm just not going to try that on. So for example, yesterday, I mean, I'm quite slim and I'm very happy with my body and, you know, pretty much, you know, it is what it is, but I know exactly what looks good and what doesn't. And yesterday I was doing an insert for a store. I was doing a promotion about the colours workshop we've got coming up. And if you're listening to this in the future, that's something that we ran at Maryvale, or are running at Maryvale Mall in Christchurch in October 2025. And I was doing a promotional video for them, and I often try and wear their clothes in the promotional video because it's nice for the watcher or the viewer to see the stylist wearing something that actually comes from the store. So I tried to wear something from the store, and I tried on some pink trousers, and they are really cool. But I just knew them when I looked at them on the rack that they were not going to look great on me. So they looked okay, but they don't look great. So why would I buy them? Just because I liked the colour of them. The style was slim. They were for a more straight body shape. So there's a bag at the waist and the legs were kind of tight at the top. So why? Why would I put those trousers on and wear them? Just because they're on trend? Because they're the current thing in the shop? Nah. That doesn't work. It makes me look less good than I want to look, right? So really important to understand what works for you. Now, often we have trends. So we have trends in fashion and we try and fit into those trends, which is, you know, it's a little fraught. So the skinny jean trend was so strong for 10 years. And really, honestly, it didn't look fantastic for everyone, but we found ways to modify it. So, you know, when it started, it was low rise, skinny jeans, the worst for my body shape. And so I have a long body, or, you know, a balanced body and legs and heavier thighs. Oh my goodness, it was so hard to make it look good. Luckily, I had at the time a flat earth stomach. So it was okay. But anyway, I digress. So there are fashion trends, and how do we adapt them for our body shape? How do we find a version of that works? I think that's really important as well. So let's have a look at the 5 different body shapes. So, and remember, these are just like a starting point. Actually, I'm going to talk about 6 today, not 5. 6 different body shapes, and you can be a variation of some, right? So you might be a variation of one body shape. Now, also, there's so many nuances that go into body shape. I'm going to give you first the horizontal body shapes. But when we determine in a body shape analysis what suits you, we don't take just that into account. We take your neck length, your face shape, your shoulder width, like all proportions of your body, because those things can greatly impact the way that you dress and the kind of things that are going to look the best on you. When you look in the mirror, first of all, if you're trying to work out your body shape, there's 3 things to consider. 1, the width of your shoulders, right? So the width of your shoulders, how wide are your shoulders? Are your shoulders wider? So if I stand up, you can see here my shoulders are wider than my waist. My hips are also wider than my waist. So you want the width of the shoulders, the circumference of the waist, and the width of your hips. And this determines your body shape. So when we look at all of the different body shapes, and maybe we'll start with the triangle or pear body shape. So if you think of a triangle or pear body shape, their shoulders will be narrower than their hips. So another way to think about it, whether or not you're a triangle or a pear-shaped body, is when your hands hang by your side, do your arms sit out from your body like this? Or do they sit in? So do they sit out? If they're sitting out like this, chances are you have got more of a pear shape. Do you? And another way to think of this is, where are your clothes tight? So where do you find you have the most challenge? So a pear or a triangle body shape will probably have the most challenge with trousers and the most challenge in the lower body. So they have narrower shoulders and wider hips. Now, the opposite of a triangle or pear body shape is the inverted triangle. And I did have a client recently, and I can't get it out of my head, who described herself as a parsnip. Oh, I honestly, you know who you are if you're listening. I don't know if it's quite accurate, but anyway, a triangle body shape has more of a bigger bust, wider shoulders, and then they have narrower hips. This is your triangle body shape. Inverted triangle. A triangle body shape, as we were talking about before, of somebody who's got wider hips and their arms are sticking out. In the triangle picture, the inverted triangle, where the shoulders and the bust is bigger, you can see that the person has often a large bust and wide shoulders, and then they have narrower hips. And that's what we call a triangle body shape. So their weight is carried upstairs, an inverted triangle, and in a triangle or pear shape, the weight is carried downstairs. Now, an hourglass body shape is where the shoulders and the hips are balanced. So if I was to take a tape measure across my shoulders, my shoulder width across here, if I look at the half measurement, is 42. And if I stand up and take a measurement across the widest part of my hips, it is actually almost exactly the same. It's 43. So my shoulders and my hips are the same width across, right? My waist, if I take the waist measurement across my waist measurement is 34. So if I take that half measure, so I'm much more of an hourglass because I have the hips and I have the shoulders. Now, if I didn't have the shoulders but I had the hips, I would be a pear shape. Okay, so that's just giving you some ideas about how you work out your body shape. This is just horizontal body shape at the moment. Now, a rectangle body shape, so your shoulders, your waist, and your hips are very similar. So you're more of a straight up and down body shape. This is somebody who has their weight is in their waist often, their bust and their waist and their hip are a really similar measurement, and the shoulders are really similar as well. So they are more of a column or a straight or a rectangle body shape. And again, if you think again of where the tension might be when you're actually buying clothes, often it's getting that fit through the waist area that can be the challenge, right? Now, if you think about the next body shape, which is a round or an apple-shaped body, this is where your waist is wider than your shoulders and your hips, okay? So if you think about this body shape, This is somebody who has got more weight in the midsection. That's a bit of a rundown. You can also have a diamond body shape where you're very narrow in the shoulders and very narrow in the legs and very much rounder in the middle. So that's really similar to the apple all around. So we'll leave it at 5 body shapes for now. Just to recap on those body shapes. First body shape we talked about was the pear-shaped body. I'm going to leave it at pear because it's less confusing, where the hips are where the widest point is. The second body shape was the inverted triangle, where the shoulders and bust are the widest point. The third body shape we talked about was the hourglass, where the shoulders and the hips are the same width and the waist is smaller. The fourth body shape we talked about was the column or the rectangle, where the shoulders, waist, hips are already similar. And then the fifth one we talked about was the round or apple body shape, where the shoulders are narrow and the legs are narrow, but the weight is very much carried in the midsection of the body. So like I said earlier, the thing to think about here is, where do your clothes feel tight first? Is it the shoulders? Is it the waist? Is it the hips? Right? So for me, it's often the shoulders and the hips. When it starts getting tight around the waist, I know I've got to rein it in. Because it's just, even with menopause, and I have changed shape a little bit, I'm a little bit less exaggerated than I was. I think probably more weight in the midsection and less weight in the hips. That's just a decrease in estrogen does that for you, lucky ass. But I still have the challenge of, I put on a jacket this morning and it's really cool. Actually, I'll show you. It's this jacket I got this from Just Jeans, and I seriously think it would be 23 or 4 years old. And I bought this when I was having my children, and it's a little tight around the back. So if I flip around, you can see it's tight through the shoulders. It's actually fine just over this t-shirt. It feels quite comfortable. I don't remember it being so tight when I bought it 20 years ago, or tighter. I still could do it up, but I still have this conversation with my clients and myself. See, I can do it up. Ugh. You only do up a jacket in a blizzard, right? And I could if there was a blizzard, and there's not one today, so I won't be doing it up. I could do it up if I need to, right? So that is how the jacket looks, right? And that's how it is, and that's where it's a little tight for me across the shoulders. But most of the time, the challenge I have is in the hips, right? So yeah, I would say when I have gained weight or been not my ideal weight for me, or not my ideal place where I want to be body shape wise, I become a bit more pear-shaped. So anyway, and you can be a mix of body shapes too. So I would say I was a pear/hourglass, right? It's learning to dress that. Now, that body shape for me is not the challenge. The challenge for me comes in my horizontal body shape, right? So it's a really interesting, really interesting. When I did my Les Mills workshop a few weeks ago with absolutely lovely AJ from Les Mills City, we both were the same height. And when we went to set ourselves up on the bikes, she had her bike seat higher than me. And when we stood in a photo and looked at ourselves, my body is longer than hers. So she's longer legged. I'm proportionally longer bodied, and my body and legs are the same length. So when you're thinking about your horizontal body shape, which we've just discussed, there's things to consider. What are you trying to emphasize? What are you fitting first? How are you doing that? But when you look at your actual vertical body shape, right, you want to think, okay, do I have long legs? Do I have a long torso? Do I have a balance in both areas? And how do I want to work with this when I'm trying to get dressed, right? So when we do a body shape analysis, we do the horizontal body shape. We take your measures and we pop the information in. We also take your neck length. We also measure your wrist circumference and your ankle circumference. Now, the reason we do those two measurements is they also tell us your frame size. So even if you are not where you want to be with your body, and I have some people who come to me in this position, usually the wrist and the ankle give us a good indicator of your frame size. So for example, I might find that if I'm measuring someone of a different ethnicity who's got a much bigger frame, their wrists and ankles will be bigger, which indicates that their whole overall body size will be bigger, even though they might be the same height as me, for example. Another quite good indicator is hand and foot size. So I talked about that earlier. Poppy has got smaller hand and feet than me, even though she is of a similar height. Now, if you look at Scarlett, who's also my daughter, who you see less of on social media. She's not quite as keen to be as on it as much as Poppy. She is a little bit shorter than me. Her hands and feet are significantly smaller. She's a tiny hourglass. She's a much littler frame. Her hands and feet and wrists are small. So that indicates her frame size is a lot smaller. I'm just using my family here. Sorry, guys. They don't listen to this anyway, so it's okay. My two sons, really interesting. So both the boys are a similar height. Again, they're both around 6'2", about 185, 186 centimetres. I think Bryn might be slightly taller than Zach. Their foot size is nearly the same. I think Zach's might be slightly bigger, but Zach overall has a bigger frame than Bryn and is a heavier build, right? So that means that when I do a male body shape analysis, which I do as well, we look at male body shapes and his body shape will be different from Bryn's. Bryn's is more straight, Zach's is more V. Zach also has more of a tendency and has to watch what he eats more because his frame, gets size much more easily, even though he's an athlete. So anyway, very interesting to consider that there's a whole lot of things that make up your body shape. So we've spoken about your horizontal body shape. We've spoken about your frame size, which is about your wrist and your ankles as well. And it's not to say that other things aren't important, but also sometimes it can be a bit of a reality check for someone who's got little hands, little feet, small wrists, small ankles, and they are slightly on the curvier side. So, where are they at with their bodies? Sometimes we can have a conversation about that. And really my job is to help you come to a place of acceptance and also help you to create visual harmony with your body, because you can do whatever you like visually without changing your body at all. Actually, an interesting thing to throw in here too is if you are interested in changing your body, you can only change around a third of it through diet and exercise and surgery. You're just going to have the shape you've got. I'm never going to change the fact that I have a proportional body and legs. If I wanted to have a short body and long legs, I can't change that. There's nothing I can do unless I want bone surgery or something stupid like that, which is not, I don't think that's an option, right? So I just want you to try and understand your proportions. So coming back, when we measure our proportions, how do we determine it? So when I'm looking at a horizontal body shape, I look at where the bust point is or the nipple line is for a man, right? So where's that nipple line? I look at where your hip line is. Now to discover that, I get you to stand up and I get you to put your hands where you feel like the join of your legs to your hips is and lift your leg up so you feel that crease in your waist and you see that's where the hip joint is. So then you can see, for me, if you're watching this, you'll see there's quite a gap between my bust and my hip joint area. So I've got quite a long torso here. Thankfully for me, or luckily for me, I also have quite long legs too. So the next point we measure is your knee point, which is obviously down here. And that gives us the quarters of your body, and we pop that into a mathematical program which tells us whether you are longer in the body or longer in the legs. So you can often see this visually anyway. So when I'm dressing, so now we know now for me, I have an hourglass proportional body. Now, most women have longer legs and shorter bodies. So our visual ideal that we see, not that it is an ideal, please, I don't even like that word. We see people on the runway who have very long legs often and quite short bodies. And that's what a lot of women have. Now, when you're like me who's proportional, or you're somebody who might have a longer body and shorter legs, we often want to, or I like to create the illusion of length, because creating the illusion of length creates the illusion of, for me, this works, creates the illusion of slimness. So there's certain things, if I wore them, they don't make my legs look good. They make them look short and stumpy, and I don't like that. For me, that's not what I want. Now, most of you will never see my legs looking like that because I know exactly how to dress myself. Even when I wear sports clothing, I don't like short tights that come to right down to mid-thigh, even though they might be physically more comfortable. They're so unflattering. And I just feel bad in them because they make my legs look heavier and shorter. So there's all sorts of proportions and lengths in your clothes that come from the vertical body type you have. That's the next thing, is understanding whether you're longer in the legs or longer in the body. That is a summary of that long-winded discussion. Then what do you want to emphasize or hide? I think that's the next question to ask yourself. Do you want to emphasize your bust? Do you want to emphasize your legs? Do you want to hide your tummy? I mean, not that I'm suggesting you should or you have to, but some people feel like they do. A lot of ladies have tummy issues. Or do you feel like you don't want anyone to see your legs? I had a client the other day that was like, I could never wear that because my legs aren't where I want them to be, right? So they wouldn't want to show their legs or the top part of their thighs. Let's not say legs. Let's say the top part of the thigh. And so for them, a different type of short would be appropriate at this point in their life. Now, colour creates visual harmony. So we can use colour placed on the body to create what we want from a body shape perspective. So you start to see the marrying of colour and body shape together. So for example, we put a colour up the top. That means that we look at the top, we see the top part of the body. If we put a colour down the bottom, we look at the bottom and see what's happening there. For me, because I have a balanced body, I have same length body and same length legs, I often put colour in both places. Now, if I want to look taller, I will always tuck in. So I think for most women, creating waist shape makes a difference. All body shapes look better with a wee bit of waist definition. Even if you do have that round or oval body shape, we can find ways to give you waist, because when you take a top out and pull it down over the top of a skirt or a top of trousers without creating any waist shape, and it might be you create it on the top, by the way, then you lose waist. And losing waist can actually make you look heavier. So there's just ways to create waist. So consider how we create waist definition, even if you don't naturally have it. I've given you a summary of the body shapes, horizontal and vertical, and I think that's the place to start when you're looking at body shape. So just a couple of key takeaways for each body shape as well. And I'm assuming here that you might want to look longer and leaner. Now, some people are really tall and slim already, so please forgive me if you are in this category and I'm giving you advice that you don't want, because my advice is purely to help. It's not to be judgmental, but I'm just know that the majority of my clients want to look a little longer and leaner. So let's start off by thinking about our first body shape, which is our pear shape. So our pear shaped body, you want to fit to the hip first. Make sure that when you're buying skirts, trousers, dresses, they fit properly across the hip, and be prepared to have a few extra dollars to get the waist of your garments tailored, your trousers, your skirts, or be prepared to pull things in at the waist so you can emphasize that waist area. Make sure your trousers fit you on that top thigh area, because that's the part where you're often the widest. So you want it to fit nicely through there and then fall from that area. Luckily at the moment, wide-legged trousers are in, tulip skirts that fit really nicely through that part of the body are in. You're also going to benefit, even if you do have a short body, from having something that has a bit of a high waist, so the eye is drawn up to the narrow part of your body. Inverted triangle, where you have wider shoulders and bigger boobs, you're going to benefit from having a neckline that's not too high. A high neckline makes the bust look bigger. You can see, if you're looking at this here, a high neckline makes the eye go from the top of the top down to the bottom of the bust. Now, if you are a bigger busted person, there's a lot more surface area and it can make you look bigger. So you need to have an open neckline. Make sure that you are wearing something that shows a little bit of skin at the top. Make sure that you're wearing something at the bottom that's not too tight, that creates visual balance. So again, a skirt that has a little bit of volume. I don't like saying the word volume, but something that comes, maybe an A-line shaped skirt or a wider pair of trousers, will create that visual balance for you. If you're an hourglass body shape, as I said, watch that you get the shoulder fit right and the hip fit right. Actually, our inverted triangles need to watch the shoulders as well, so get that fitting nicely. Inverted triangles, you might need to get things tailored in through the waist and hip area. Be prepared to do that. I've got a client like this. She always gets things taken in through the thigh area because they're often really baggy. And to get that visual balance and fit for her, that's what she needs. Our column or our rectangular body shape, your whole goal is to create shape. So to give you something, emphasize the waist to make sure that we can create a bit of shape. So maybe you have something that gives you a bit of shoulder and also gives you a bit of hip, so you get that shape created. With our more oval or curvier body shapes, think about where you want the eye to be, up in this part of the body. So making sure, again, for you, it's going to be an open neckline. It's going to be wearing things that flow through the stomach area rather than grip and cling. So I know that is just such a summary and a tiny little fragment of what we teach you. And Your Private Stylist, which is the product we use, or Men of Style. They are the products we use for body shape analysis. They are digital, which is amazing, and we can set them up on your phone so you can use them when you are out shopping. So you can take your phone with you, you can open up your Colors app and look at your colors, and you can also open up now your Style app. So we can show you how to do all of that if you do want a body shape analysis. So I just want you to not be scared of this. It's not going to restrict you. It's just going to help broaden you and broaden you in the best way possible, broaden your mind. So you have lots of options when you go out shopping. And remember, if there's nothing else you've got out of this, it's your body is good enough as it is. So kia kahe, everybody. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Remember, if you do want to find me, you can find me on Instagram, brightrednz_. You can also find me on Facebook. And now I'm also on YouTube. So you can watch this if you want to and see me there. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for listening. And I will talk to you next week. Thank you for listening to the Style for Life podcast. Don't forget, you deserve to feel fabulous at every age, every stage, and at every size. If you're loving the show, hit subscribe and leave a review. It helps more amazing people like you find their way back to life through style. Thanks again. Until next time.